What's up, guys, and welcome back to another scenario where civilization started over. So, as you can see, this French country has a little bit of a problem with the Alps and this territory over here. And there's been lots of border clashes because due to low population in this area. And border clashes are going to lead to the pink team sending in troops on accident into the French team. And they're going to be pushing in through here being like, hey, where is our military base? Where is it? And then they realize they're in the French territory. And they're like, oh. So they go back. And then few days later, the French see this as an attack. So they think these guys are all the way in here. But when they move in, there's nobody here. So they are like, all right, maybe they're trying a war tactic that we don't know about. So they're going to be like, all right, well, we're going to invade into you. And here we see this causing a war. Now, with this, these troops are going to be like, hey, these guys are over here, let's get them. And what these guys don't know is that they lost supplies, but they do reach up to this river, and then they start to go over here to this area to reach up with them. And then these troops are struggling, to say the least. And then these guys get encircled, and then the French country just gets all this land back through pushing in, and it gets these two small encirclements like so. But this won't last long due to the mountains, and the mountains are going to restrict all motion of troops across. So with this, the pink country is very quickly able to defend against the invasion and start a invasion on this river, using it as like a staging ground to get through the Alps. And they're also going to push down here to the city, and they're going to be like, all right, accept our terms of peace or get taken out. And how they send their terms of peace is they send a small convoy of troops down this river and all the way to the capital city and get stopped and asked questions. So with that convoy, they send their peace request, and the French are like, all right, we have to accept this to not lose our troops. So this is the peace treaty with the centralization of the French team getting a little bit better since they don't have any territory in the Alps, and the Italian country is going to get a huge morale boost from just that little convoy going to straight towards the capital, showing how weak the French team is, and the French team's going to get kind of scared and start bumping up their military. But to go with our starter episode event, we're going to just see some exploration and expansion. So, with the weakening of the sort of Cyan team, they're going to get lots of hate from all their neighbors, especially the Bulgarians. So, the Bulgarians are going to be like, hey, we only have one chance to be strong. So, last episode, we did see the sort of Cyan team lose a war to the Golden Greeks, so they're going to take advantage of it, and a discombobulated Cyan country is going to be great. But while this is happening, we see lots of exploration happening with a new Ethiopian country and a new Indian country popping up. And these countries expand all over the place. So yeah. But the Bulgarians keep on moving, the Cyan push in, and then the Greeks are going to be like, well, you know, why not? Why not? So they push deep in, and they've been recovering from their war, and they did use a tactic that did bring them down a lot, but they're learning and just slowly making smaller offensive with a smaller amount of troops than usual. So this is really starting like smaller warfare instead of larger warfare, but they do have like a large military force in one spot and they're branching off of it. So they're performing branching tactics. And then the Bulgarians are just going to be like, well, we want our old lands. And I'm pretty sure they got some lands annexed from the Cyan country. But they're going to expand and they're going to be like, all right, well, we got tons of Bulgarian nationalism. So we're going to send troops down to the capital and ask for a surrender. And the cyan team surrenders to the Bulgarians and the gold team, so let's see this peace treaty. Alright, this is the peace treaty, and we see the big blue blob blobbing less and less every single day. Not every single day, but every single war. And y'all love Bulgaria, so, yay, Bulgarian love. With lots of separatist movements in this English country, we're going to see this area of England start to break away, very close to the capital, and there's going to be tons of revolts in the capital. And Scotland's going to be like, alright, well, England, we don't like you, so we're going to be funding these guys down here. And that they do. And as soon as they can, they try to make borders with Scotland to smuggle in supplies even more. And due to the capital being sieged of England, they're going to be surrendering. So here we see there's East and West England. So East England is obviously the OG England, but they did lose their capital. But lots of their support was in their capital region for the new Western English country. So they're going to have to move it to a different area. So they're going to move it into Wales. Now there are Welsh country, if you will. Yay! We love the Welsh, except for laser tays. So here we see this major event happening, and it's going to be a rebellion in this area of Libya, and it's also going to be taking place a little bit in the red team. Now, with this red team land, it's going to be a little bit different of a movement, but it's still going to be the same concept of Libyan independence, and this region's just going to be mainly just expanding quite fast down the coast of where the major population centers are, and just capturing as much population as they can to support this. And they're also going to have breakaways over here because Egypt is funding a lot of rebellions in this area, and they're going to just mainly get this entire area down here, like so. And then Libya can't do anything. And then the red team is going to be completely decentralized, so they're not going to know about this until like a month after this happens. And they're not going to annex that much. But they're going to be like, alright, well, we got all of our important zones down here, so we can't really do anything. But they're going to be trying to move troops, and they're not going to be able to, so the Libyans are just going to go through here, get this area down here, and then they're going to be like, alright, red team, we want peace. I know you can't move your troops. You're decentralized in this area right over here, so let's just sue for peace. And with this, we see Libya forming right over here, but they're going to be pretty weak and decentralized because they do got this zone over here and this zone over here with no major cities in between. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them than any other nation, but they are going to try, and Egypt's going to get ready on setting up their government with them. So they're going to subscribe to the same government as Egypt. With this, an Egyptian monarch is being put into power in Libya, and they form a monarchy like so. So another thing that we see here, sadly, is this Hungarian theocracy doing some very bad things on the religion map. This theocracy is going to be like, hey, I gotta do something to this red people. That they do with them slowly incorporating these red people and blue people into their nation through mass killings daily. These mass killings are going to be the harshest ever seen before, and this is just a dark day for the Germanic people, and a very bad day for the people of the red and blue religions. Now, obviously, there's going to be some crossing over in this, which is going to be the worst part of this, and the crossing over is going to take place, and the German religion is going to slowly take over a few major cities in the red team religion, and this is also going to spread into the blue team religion, and they're going to get wiped out within their own borders, proving their own borders aren't even safe. And generally with this, you would see a war starting over this, and that we do see lots of conflicts start to escalate over the borders of these countries. Here we see a very important war sparking out between the purple team and the blue team. Now these two are going to war again over the fact that they want to own the entire portion of the holy city that is on Sicily. Now this holy city marked on the map like so is the red team holy city, and once they do this, the red team is going to get really mad and then send an invading force in like so, and the red team's navy with lots of motivation to preserve their religious capital are going to be like, hey, we were doing this. The blue team was set up as a state to be shared within our religion, to just be unifying us all together. And the red team, with that message, gets so many blue team nationalists to rise up and join their cause. They form the new blue team. This new blue team is actually going to be pretty successful. It's not ruled by a dictator, but it's ruled by a constitutional monarchy as a war hero that will slowly erupt out of this. Blue team will be learning a lot at these fronts and slowly be pushing back the Italians in Sicily, but he quickly fails and gets pushed all the way back to this little boot of Italy. And let's go ahead and see this peace treaty. Here we see this is the peace treaty with the blue team becoming a constitutional monarchy, and the blue team's just going to be Sicily. And we love Sicily. Maybe. Probably not. But yeah. With all the conflicts happening in this region, these people living in the Thrice area are going to rise up a little bit and get very mad. So what we be seeing happening here is a group of Bulgarians actually say, "Hey, we want to rise up against the Ottomans, or the de facto Ottomans, I guess." And they're going to rise up in this region where the Bulgarians were, like so. And I think you can see it on the religion map. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, you can't. But the Bulgarians did have a lot of this land, and they're going to rise up. But with this, the Ottomans are going to quickly consolidate their troops because their capital is Constantinople, and they were very centralized in this region of Thrice. So they're going to quickly put down this rebellion, and that will be it for this rebellion. Now, they are going to be very mad at the Bulgarians, but they do send an invading force, a very small invading force, into Bulgaria just to send them a message. And they send this convoy with a small invading force just in case, and they draft up some sort of treaty where they're allowed to sort of slowly take back the Bulgarians out of that region and put them into their new slither of country. With this mass migration, a lot of people are going to die through just the move and hunger, and then the Bulgarian infrastructure is not able to feed everyone. So everybody's going to be really mad at the Ottomans for making this treaty, but Bulgaria is going to be a little bit happier, but they're still starving their people, and their people are going to become very nationalized and very ready to go to war and take revenge, but they don't. Not yet. So for our final event in this episode, we're going to see this Finland nation popping up like so in this one region, and it's mainly going to become like the end point of Baltic immigration all across the Baltic Sea. So that's what we're going to see. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. It was more of a setup episode just to set up future events. But I do want y'all to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend, get my Wixo out there. We're on the road to 1K, around like 103 subs left by the time I'm recording this episode. So 1K and Doodle Empire's Project Data's mod. Trust.